Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back with Tiffany Lee. Exciting to have our New York City-based body contouring specialist here, founder of her own company as well, Viva Cryo Body Sculpting and Spa, based out of New York, New York. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
Thank you, Jill. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing well. How about you?
We're excited to have you as well. Thank you so much. Everything's great. I'm actually out on the island today, but New York gal myself. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from to begin? And then we'll obviously talk about your amazing business and how'd you get involved in this?
Sure. So I'm from New York City, actually, native New Yorker. I'm from a neighborhood called Chinatown. So may have heard of it.
Yeah.
I grew up on Mulberry Street. So I mean, I've lived in other places, but I've always come back to New York City. And so I love it here. And I knew that when I was going to start a body contouring business, it had to be here in the Big Apple. You know, it's interesting. My mother had a med spa when I was growing up. So yeah, she did. So I learned kind of the ins and outs on how to build a spa from the business side or the administrative side of things. And you know, it was a great experience, but you know, I was her receptionist at 15 years old. And then I was doing billing, collections, accounting, God knows what, making sure her taxes got filed, put her on everybody on payroll. And so, yeah, but I didn't get to do any of the cool things, the artistry and all that, right? Because my mother focused on faces and procedures like permanent makeup. And that wasn't like what I wanted. You know, in fact, by the time my mom decided to move her business to Southeast Asia and retire out there, I did not want to take over any location in New York City. So I said, no, that's okay. But, you know, I worked in corporate America for many, many years, and there was just nothing that was as fulfilling.
Rewarding.
Yeah, there just isn't. I think it's just in my blood. You know, my grandparents were entrepreneurs, my parents are entrepreneurs. So I think just eventually, I came back to my roots and decided, okay, I've got to open this business here.
Wow, amazing. So Viva Cryo offers very unique anti-aging body contouring services, which use advanced laser technologies. And some people out there may say, well, wait, what's body contouring? So why don't you start off with the basics? What exactly is body contouring?
Sure. So body contouring is just, we're using laser technologies that are non-invasive. So there's no surgery, there's no cutting into your skin, no risk of infection, but we're using these technologies to either burst, melt, or even freeze fat cells. So what we're doing is we're directing these lasers and these technologies to specific fat cells, and we're going to change them and transform the body. But it's not just body contouring isn't just, say, fat reduction, right? It's also about tightening the skin or reducing cellulite. So it's about body transformations of all kinds, from the head to all the way to the toes.
Amazing. And if you go to the website, which I did, by the way, urge everyone to do the same. It's cryo.com, VIVACRYO.com. When you see before and after pictures, I mean, and the testimonials, the real people, seeing is believing. And boy, oh boy, the stomachs, the arms, the saggy skin you've been helping with. I mean, let's talk about the techniques you use. You mentioned now, you know, the laser. You mentioned freezing. Could you explain the difference here, and what parts of the body can we actually help with?
Sure. So in my place, we can work on pretty much any body part. So we're talking if we want to tighten skin, for instance. So there's plenty of these anti-aging laser treatments that we use. In particular, my favorite, I mean, we use a few different modalities, but my favorite is the Cryo T-Shock. So that's a mixture of cryo and thermal exchange, which produces this amazing effect afterwards. So a lot of times, or in many instances, the same day result is a rather large difference. So I love that for our facials, but we work on, you know, the different body parts, from the arms to, you know, the décolletage, to stomachs, the sides, the back, legs, even calves. I mean, you name a body part, we can most likely work on that body part. So we will tighten skin. We can reduce cellulite, and we can make a lot of major changes to people who have this like aging, crepey skin. We can lighten the skin if you have a lot of age spots and and hyperpigmentation. And of
I'm
course, there's the body fat
44, so I
reduction.
get it now. Like I have a 5 and 7-year-old, so we all have our problem spots to tone and to tighten. So, for example, the Cryo T-Shock system, right? So that's cold freezing, and it's also laser as well.
Yeah, so just to explain, we call it thermal shock technology. And the reason is because we use both cold and the heat. So what we do
So
is,
it's not like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say a product on air, whatever, but like Cool Sculpting is just fat freezing. I've heard of that. Don't know.
right, that's
similar. Is that a different brand or a different
right.
company? I don't
That's
know.
totally different. We don't do that. We use an award-winning machine made by Pagani. So it's actually Italian technology. And it's won an
Is that
award.
why
So
the
it's
Europeans
amazing.
look so good?
Actually, yeah, when it comes to cryo, they're kind of ahead.
Mhm.
So that's why I decided to go with an Italian company, an Italian brand. And listen, they make these amazing, lasers, and they're just to see it, the changes on my clients. It's just, I mean, it was big changes for myself, but it's just, so seeing it on myself has been very gratifying as well. But seeing it on my clients, it's like, I can't believe I did that. And it's so gratifying to see, them walk out and their lives change. It's not just, them coming in my door and helping them fix a problem, but now they're more confident. They can change jobs, leave toxic relationships, just feel confident in
When
their
you feel
skin.
better about your body, look, I took my kids. I don't know if you ever heard of the Great Wolf Lodge in Pennsylvania this weekend. It's a water park, right?
Oh,
So we're
okay.
all in
Yeah.
bathing suits, right? And I'm like sitting here, it's winter, and I'm decently in shape, but I still have fat pockets and cellulite and whatever. But I'm feeling just so insecure. And a woman comes up to me, she's 52. She's like, "You look amazing. What are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I was in the mirror this morning." I'm like, everybody's body is different. You feel different about your body, right? I'm like, I was just pulling on the fat
Right.
on the legs and the stomach fat. And she's like, "You look great." So here's someone else's opinion. But the truth is, I don't feel good. And every individual, like you said, once you feel good about yourself, I believe you attract and you manifest the positivity in your life, and better things will come, But let me ask you now, these Cryo T-Shock. So how many treatments do you need per area normally? And how long what does it feel like? Give us, a breakdown of what it would, feel like to someone. So this could be used on what parts of the body, and how many sessions. I guess it depends on, how the body is, what you would need.
Sure. So we like to kind of, I mean, obviously I would love to do a consultation with someone first, because we try to craft all of our services towards every individual the way that they are. So I may not just use my Cryo T-Shock to tighten their skin. I may use radio frequency. I may use something else to do more work. I may use LED as well. But if we're just talking about the Cryo T-Shock, for instance, for body fat reduction, typically it takes about 6 sessions to start to see some change in the body. So I say about a size down, a pant size would be about 6 to even 8 sessions. But it's permanently gone after that. But that's an interesting concept, because permanent, I mean, fat cells change and grow every 7 to 8 years. So we do get rid of those cells permanently, but we can't help your body.
Other ones still exist and they could expand.
Correct.
And one thing I
Exactly.
also read that you offer, which is super cool, Cryo Concierge. So you tell me you
Yes.
actually bring the machine to people's homes as well if they want?
Yes, we do. We will come to your home and we will perform cryo on you. So that's for any of those procedures. Plus we do muscle soreness and pain management as well. So we use the machine for several different reasons. So yeah, we do. We go to people's homes.
That is amazing. But you also have a location in the city as well, or you're
We do.
strictly mobile? No.
No. We are
Your
located.
spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's your location, by the way?
Sure. It's in the financial district. So that's
Mhm.
90 Broad Street on the 2nd floor.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then you
Mhm.
also do something called Ideal Light LED therapy. What is that for? There's a lot of
Yes.
services. So whichever ones you want to talk about, I don't want to rush you.
Right. Of course. Look, if you'd like to transform and change your body, I will most likely have a modality or a combination of modalities that I'm going to use to get you there. That's something that we always want to ensure with every single client that walks through our door is we will get you results. So that's super important. Kind of forgot what the question was.
Me too. It was the LED light
Oh, okay.
service.
Yes.
What was it called?
Oh
Ideal.
yeah, so it's called the Ideal Light. So it's LED and infrared body sculpting. So it's interesting because it's kind of this all-in-one buddy, you know. So it performs skin tightening, fat reduction, and cellulite reduction all in one. And what I love about it is that it melts your fat cells, but you can do this every 2 days. So it's much easier for your lymphatic system to move out of your body. So you can do it more often. And that will give you much more control over your diet and exercise regimen. So for instance, I have clients that will come in and they love it because the machine also tends to have these wonderful healing effects, because that's what red light therapy has, you know. So they'll come in for all kinds of reasons, but if you had like a week that you were away or on vacation and you said, I just want to get rid of a little bit, there's some bloat here and some weight that's coming on, you know, I call it erasing the weekend. So the Ideal Light is great for erasing the weekend. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, you also mentioned that really the good thing about this is there's no surgery, there's no recovery time, no downtime. You get up, whatever procedure you're doing. I mean, you get up and you're okay. I mean, obviously there may be I'm sure some side effects, maybe swelling, numbing. What type of things normally come with, you know, that people might say, well, what are the side effects? There's got to be something.
Sure. So when it comes to the Ideal Light, there are no side effects usually. If there's a little bit of redness because the pads are lightly heated, or the light heats up a little bit, but it should never burn you or hurt or anything like that. It's actually painless. But you could have a tiny bit of redness, but that lasts about 5 to 10 minutes and then you'll be fine. So that's usually about all you'll get with the Ideal Light.
And the Cryo T-Shock, what about that one?
So cryo is about usually freezing fat cells. So you may see just a tad bit of swelling, but that will probably be gone in about an hour or so. So there are other, you know, different types of cold therapy machines that they use. You will be swelling and potentially numb and have bruising for days up to. But with this machine, that's not going to happen because we use something called a Peltier wand, which means it's a flat surface. So we're not using any kind of applicator or apparatus to pull or tug the skin. That makes sense.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Then there's so many other services that you offer, which I would love for you to, you know, to share, but I know you also wanted to talk about, you know, just, you know, your company in general. So where did you want to head to next? Do you want to dive down the lane of other services that you offer?
Sure. Well, we also offer a service called quick sculpting. So that's actually something I came up with. It's a combination treatment that I use that involves LED light therapy as well as radio frequency, and that's ultrasonic cavitation. So basically what we do is we use the LED platform to melt the fat cells. And then we're going to go in right after that with ultrasonic cavitation, which uses these sound waves. And these sound waves are going to rupture those fat cells, and then they'll get another layer. Why? Because they've already been flattened. So we have a process and a way that we use to stimulate the lymphatic system right in between. And it typically produces a much faster effect. So if you're looking for fast, permanent fat loss, you have a deadline coming up of some sort, we've got you with this.
So that's the one that's the quickest, you'd say?
I would say, yes, it's the quickest. I mean, you can do it every 3 days, and we typically say about twice a week you should have this treatment performed. And if you have about 8 to 10 sessions, you're going to be ready. So that means about a month and a week, something like that. You can definitely have a different. You'll size down.
Awesome. And what about the lymphatic drainage? What is that specifically?
Okay, so lymphatic drainage is very interesting. It's a very popular treatment these days. The lymphatic system is very important because it is a whole giant network of your organs, which involve, you know, more than just like your lymphatic system. It's your, you know, it's blood vessels, it's your spleen, it's this whole network, right? And what happens is basically it's going to pump blood back return blood to the body. So it's heavily involved with your cardiovascular system as well as your circulatory system. So the lymphatic system is very important because what it does is it removes toxins and toxic waste buildup. It really, because it's getting rid of that interstitial fluid, what it does is it gets rid of things like bloating and swelling. So super important to do if you're doing any body contouring, or if you're attempting to lose weight, you're feeling tired, you're just not feeling good. Sometimes it could be because your lymphatic system's a little bit lethargic. So when we perform lymphatic drainage procedures, we use the Cryo T-Shock again, because it's our, it's a wonderful machine. And we will use the exchange of heat and cold to actually move that out. But in terms of body contouring, we love lymphatic drainage because what happens is fat, when it is trying to leave your body, it starts moving towards your lymphatic system. Then it gets metabolized. Yes, it gets metabolized by the liver, and then it's out through your kidneys. It's also heavily, through your heart as well, through the
aortic valves and
yes, it's hard for me to say that name sometimes. So that means breathing. So that's why the thermogenic effect of exercise, breathing, yes, but also heating yourself up, right? So that you sweat, and also drink a lot of water so that you sweat and urinate, and that will produce the really good results that we're looking for in terms of lymphatic drainage. So
like when you freeze the fat, this fascinates me. You freeze it, right? And then how long does it take to actually expel from the body? How many
it takes
days, weeks, like how?
Sure. It takes about 10 for this particular machine. It takes about 10 to 14 days. For other types of cold therapy machines, it's typically like months. It could be up to 2 or 3 months, I believe. So ours is a little bit faster, so you can get treatments every 10 days because it's slightly less invasive. So yeah.
Amazing. What else does your place have to offer us?
Gosh, I mean, we offer cryofacials, LED facials. So
and
these
I read something
facials
about BBL. What was that?
Oh, that's the
broad
yes. So
spectrum.
yeah, so that's
I don't know.
basically. So that's called, the BBL is typically the Brazilian butt lift. Now ours is just a non-invasive one. So basically what we do is we use a combination of all these modalities to contour specifically around your back, your sides, your waist, and below your derriere, so below the glutes and around the hips. So we slim down all of those areas, and we tighten and tone the glutes. So and we also tighten and tone the stomach and the back if we have to.
Wow.
So it basically, we're not enlarging the derriere.
Okay.
But what I find very interesting about my clients is once I've performed this on them and I have slimmed down around all of those areas, they actually love their butts because they can see that it's not only are we lifting it, but we've slimmed down everything around it. So it creates a much more contoured, lifted effect. Yeah.
What about for those with like a banana roll under the butt?
Oh,
but and then it's like hangs, and then it's like, yeah, what was that? Can body sculpting help smooth that out a little?
Yes,
like
we can. We not only can we smooth that out, but we can tighten it so it'll like sort of pull it back up together. Of course, I'd recommend some exercises that we do, some pre and post care as well for your skin, because that's definitely a skin tightening issue. But we can certainly, yes, work on that.
Perfect.
We work on the divots. Yeah.
Great, good to know. And let's just remind our listeners and viewers how we can contact you again, please, before we continue.
Sure. Yeah, sure. They can contact us on our website. That's vivacryo.com. We're also on TikTok, one word, Viva Cryo, Instagram, Viva Cryo. Gosh, God knows where else we are.
Awesome.
Yeah, our number is 917-809-0723. So you may call or text us.
Great. Now you touched upon this a little bit though about your parents being entrepreneurs, also your grandparents, you'd say. So they really tell me about they came to this country not knowing much about it, but they became so successful. Can you explain where you get this instinctual entrepreneurship from? And
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. So my grandfather came to this country with basically no money in his pocket. And yeah, I mean, I remember hearing the story of how he used to he was going to Alaska and cutting trees down and the logs, like carrying the logs on his back. And I just found that fascinating that my
Mm.
grandfather was like a small man. So I couldn't even, like he's 5'5" on a good day. And skinny. I couldn't picture him doing all that kind of backbreaking work. And then he put all of his money, like he saved and saved and saved. He worked in restaurants in Chinatown when he met my grandmother, and then they traveled to Florida with their savings and they opened a grocery store, and then
Oh,
they opened
wow.
a laundromat, and then another laundromat, and then they sold those laundromats, and then they bought their first piece of real estate in New York City. And that's kind of like what happened. And so I've been very fortunate that I had such a entrepreneurial like family that works so hard, because they instilled the same type of values in me, where they told me, go to school, work hard, but you can do anything that you want to do. And even on my mother's side of the family, they're all entrepreneurs as well. And my mom, she was a very successful entrepreneur, and she continues to
Did she still have her
like,
med spa? You mentioned, right, that what she did.
well, she did retire. I think that when you do things like permanent makeup, it's hard on the wrists. So she did eventually retire her business, and she has since started something else. So she has a jade company where she actually makes jewelry for her clients, and it's been going very well because she lives in Southeast Asia, where she has access to the best jade in the world. So she just keeps going, and so I love that about her, that she can transform like that. But that's my family. I mean, my brother's an entrepreneur, so I think it's just in our blood.
And you
We
also
can't help
mentioned
it.
in your notes a little about females in general, right? Would you want to talk a little bit about, female owning, businesses and how we've come such a long way, but there's still disparities in a sense with females and males, but you want to make that
Absolutely.
disappear. Me too.
Yeah, I definitely want to make that disappear. I feel like I worked in corporate America for a really long time, and I was able to become a manager, and you know, it was great in some aspects, but when you find out what your counterparts are making, it's not so great. When you find out how you're being treated versus other managers and other VPs, it's not a good feeling. And I just didn't feel like I could move to where I wanted to without having. I didn't feel like I had a voice. So I opened my own business so that I could have that voice, so that I could say anything that I wanted, but also let little girls know that they can do whatever they want. And I think it's important for boys to understand that their women can be powerful, we can be leaders, we can kick ass, and we can dominate too. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's just myself, but it's good that I had a strong mother, as well as strong grandmothers that showed me that in the first place. So I never allowed the ceiling to get in my way. I think every time it has, I try to break it. And if that's what I am, that's what I am.
Beautiful. What else would you like to share with us today about you and your company?
Well, you know what? We've been so fortunate that our business has grown so much. It was really tough during the pandemic.
Mm.
And the fact that we were able to not only survive, but we're thriving now, it's an amazing feeling. And so, I think what kept me going, even when we were so close to closing our doors, was the belief that I have in myself. And so if there's anything that I can, say to anyone that's listening, is to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you will manifest what you want. It will come to fruition, but you cannot allow anyone to tell you how to live your life. And that's, I think, the one thing that I can press upon others. Yeah,
Oh, it's
believe in yourself.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so what happened with you and your clients during the pandemic? I mean, did you have to close down? Was that the
Yes.
hardest time ever in your
Yeah,
life for business? And
it
then I want to also
was.
ask you about the pandemic in general, how that's affected us and your clients, because anxiety, stress, weight gain, we were all eating, bad. So is business now a lot better and booming in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, so during the pandemic, we had to close our doors like every other business. We were forced to, right? And we were a new business at that point. We were really just kind of, we opened in the tail end of
Hmm.
2019. So 2020 was supposed to be a big year for us.
Yeah.
And it just, obviously global pandemic thwarted that. So yeah, it was very difficult for months to be closed, and then we had to reopen. We didn't really get much assistance being a new business, so we really had to rely on what we had. So yeah, that was a very scary place to be in. And then business was doing well, and then at some point we had tried to change our marketing strategy, and we had nothing coming through the door. And so I believe there was a point where we were like a month away from closing our doors. And I had basically developed a partnership with a company that introduced me to an influencer, and then business just like exploded because the video that she made went viral twice. I still get people coming in and telling me how that video has brought them to my doors. And then other influencers also made videos that people that came into my office, I didn't even know they were influencers. Everyone's got a TikTok these days. So it's really helped me, to grow my business, transform. And then, we have so much, we have very high client retention. So that's been really wonderful, is that we have a lot of, clients that come back to us, but also are recommending other clients. It's really, really wonderful that they, believe in us and what we do so much that they keep coming back to us and they refer their friends.
Well, clearly you love what you do. You're passionate
I
about
do.
this, and you're helping so many people. My goodness, my goodness. What would you say? There was a quote by Oprah Winfrey that you mentioned in your notes. Can I quote it?
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
become what you want, you become what you believe. Could you talk about belief and why that is so important? Like you mentioned, positive mindset, manifestation, we could do it.
Sure. Well, you know what? Okay. When I was first starting my business, I had a ton of naysayers. And listen, these were like my close friends. These were my family members. They were just scared for me. They were worried about me. They didn't say this out of like, I hate you, or, they said it out of love because they were concerned for me. They didn't want me to potentially like funnel my money and my hopes and dreams into a dream that couldn't come to fruition, right? And honestly, if I had to sit there and worry about that and believe that, I wouldn't be here today, because I literally had family telling me, don't do this. And if you continue to allow people to do that, you're just going to fall into that belief system of negativity, and that breeds more negativity. And I think that when you believe in yourself and you think, okay, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to have faith and I'm going to keep moving that forward. I'm not saying to say have a dream and then sit there and wait for it. No, you have to work with your goals, right? And try to reach that dream and make it come alive. But you cannot allow anyone to get in your way. You have to be dogmatic about it, and you have to be a bully almost and push yourself to that place and push yourself to that point where there's no one or nothing that will make you change, because it's almost like religion. My business became my baby, and there was no one that was going to tell me how I was going to run it, and there was no one that was going to tell me that I wasn't going to be made possible. So
beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having here. It's amazing. Remind us again of the website, how we can reach out to you.
Yes, thank you.
Tell us the website one more time before we go.
Oh, yes, it's vivacryo.com. So that's VIVACRYO.com.
Perfect. And also TikTok star, Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well?
We are on Facebook as well.
You're everywhere. All right, great. Well, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure having you here. Looking forward to the next time we get to speak. And thank you to all of our viewers and listeners today. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too, Jill.
Keep hydrated. Drink lots of water. I'll just give you that.
Yes.
Is that good enough?
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.